Hi, everyone, and thanks for joining us here on the Rochester Press Box. Bill Pucko with you. Glad to be. And Tariq Spence, as always.
We're in the black for the Brooklyn Nets. So sorry, the season's over. Welcome to the club, guys.
So sorry.
Yeah, join the Knicks on the bench.
And this guy, how you been, man? It's been a long time.
I did everything I could to get away from you guys, and here I am back again, so.
Yeah, it's that irresistible force.
Yes, that's what it is.
Good to have you back, though.
No, great to see you guys. You guys look very handsome.
And we may do in your absence.
Yeah,
but thank you for returning. Hey, we were talking about Winning Time, the HBO special on the Lakers, and the problems that Jerry West has with his own depiction. I should admit up front, I haven't seen the series, but in the bigger sense, when something like this happens, you get depicted by your name and all the rest of it. Like, what right have you got to recourse this?
So I understand. I tried to put myself in Jerry West's shoes. Jerry West is, I think in his 80s now. You don't want to be remembered this way. And I get that. I mean,
now, which way? The way in the show or the way
in the
behaving?
show? And the reason why is because there are a lot of people, we know this through politics and the world and entertainment, people look at video and believe it's an accurate depiction, even though it has comic relief in it. So I know it's not real. Most people who have been around long enough know it's not real. But there are people that will pick up stuff and say, that's the real Jerry West, which would mean he would get heckled for being whoever this character, Jason Clarke, is playing, and not the real Jerry West. So I understand why he's sensitive about this, especially later on in his years. That being said, I think he's missing an opportunity here to be a part of this show, to show the depiction and the real way that the Lakers were run at that time. And so are the other Lakers that are still alive, an opportunity to go opposite of this and create a podcast, create a show. I'm surprised the Lakers haven't jumped on this. I would be surprised if the Lakers didn't come in and say, every episode after every episode, we were going to get real people's comments from people who live the moments.
You want Jerry West to do a podcast?
Yes.
You think that guy can text his grandkids and you want him to do a podcast?
Listen, Duffy, he thinks he can win in the Supreme Court. So, I mean, you might as well, if you think you can take it that far, create your own media content.
He's making a massive mistake here, right? Like, all you're doing is bringing more attention to the character that is on HBO.
They just left it alone.
Like, look, all right, I understand that this is a guy from a different era, right? And your reputation's everything. Look, man, in the world we live in today, the more complaining you do, the worse people it's going to be, because more people are going to want to see it. And like, look, man, you got to be Jerry freaking West your whole life.
You're the logo.
You are the logo of the league. You've made God knows how much money. You got to work in front offices forever. Like, if this is the worst thing that happens to you, that's a pretty good run.
You give it a stand-up comedy, though, and you've done a lot of it. Do you ever find yourself feeling bad for the person you're going after? And maybe this isn't a good analogy, but he's somebody that this show has kind of gone after.
Sure, but like, I look at it this way, right? Whenever anyone has anything bad to say about how they're being depicted anywhere, right? You're going to look me in the face and tell me that you haven't done something in your life where you might deserve something like this, right? Look, I understand that this is a characterization and it's all supposed to be funny, but you want me to believe that Jerry West, in the era that he came up in the business that he was in, lived his entire life in a way that nobody can criticize him for anything that he's done? You don't, and that's the other problem. If you want to stand up and say this isn't me, you better be ready for the people that know, who actually know you, to come out with authentic, actual stories.
See,
Do you want that done to your life?
No. But here's the thing, though. I think Duffy brings up a very good point. If you're saying this isn't me, tell me what is and tell me what's not. Because there are people that are still alive that did live that era and will give you a real depiction of it. And I get it. I wouldn't want my life portrayed that way without my control. I get it. If Jerry West had his control, it'd be a little bit different. Maybe he'd be depicted, but not as funny. The interesting part here is that HBO has defended it, basically saying this is not a documentary. Like, when you watch, Bill, the first episode, you know exactly what you're in for with John C. Reilly. You know exactly what this is. The moment you watch it, you don't take it seriously.
Then is it fair to use real names? If they're going to say this is fictionalized, but this is Jerry West, this is Jerry Buss, this is Magic Johnson.
Yes, because I think if you'd gone with fake names, nobody would watch it.
It sounds like you have a problem with this.
Well, I feel for the guy a little bit, but my feeling is that, like, it would have been best for him to just sit on his hands and let it go.
Yeah, and I mean, look, ride this wave. I know that you don't need any more money, you don't need any more fame or anything like that, but like, if in my personal philosophy, if you take yourself too seriously, things are going to go really bad for you. Have a good time with it. Lean into things. Have fun. There you go. You're welcome. There's
Say
your
it again.
I forgot what I said.
If you take
Get
yourself too
Pat
seriously.
Riley, get every player that's still alive on the Lakers and do your own thing. The Lakers create their own content off of the court, what they're really doing.
Yeah, Jerry West podcast. It turns out it was just an hour of him talking into his hairdryer.
And more people are going to watch the show as a result. It says, boy, I wonder if it really is like that. This is the Rochester Press Box, and we're talking Buffalo Bills next. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us here in the Rochester Press Box. Our Buffalo Bills segment is brought to you by Ralph Honda for 3 generations and celebrating 50 years as New York's first and oldest Honda dealer. Visit Ralph Honda today and learn how we do Honda right at ralphhonda.com. Now it's time to talk about the Buffalo Bills. It seems to me, I don't know if this was hacked, probably was in your show, that the opening schedule, the Los Angeles Rams, Super Bowl champions, hosting the first game on Thursday, they got the Bills on their schedule. It seems tailor-made for them to open up the season on that premier game.
So I thought the same thing. It turns out the Bills are the third, according to Vegas, third most likely
There's
team
money to be made there.
Okay, so I thought so too, but then Dallas is the odds-on betting favorite, and Denver is number 2, which I found strange. I guess that's the Russell Wilson effect.
It is. I figure you got to earn your way into that spot. I
mean,
and Buffalo's done that.
You think the Bills have earned their way into that opening night spot? I mean, look, I look at it like this. I don't want it, by the way, as a Bills fan. I do not want to open the season on a Thursday night across the country against a reigning Super Bowl champion with something to prove here, right? Because, you know, there are lots of people who are still criticizing the Rams for what they did, thinking they didn't earn it, they bought it. I'm with you, though. You have their former star on your roster now. Josh Allen is must-see television, especially after the last game we saw him play.
And they made a rule for him.
If it wasn't going to happen, if it didn't happen, I would be surprised. If it doesn't happen, I will also be relieved.
I think the Bills are right now the best team to watch in that sort of situation. So I'm rooting for it. I'm sorry. I want to see the Rams take on the Bills. You travel to the West Coast, get that out of your system early. Good to go. You're starting off the season there. You come back home and run it. I think they can run with the Rams. I think they can actually put a game together, whether it was in Buffalo or in Los Angeles. It'll just be interesting to see. That would be must-see TV.
Look, I'm not saying they can't run with the Rams. I'm not saying the Bills don't beat this Rams team. In fact, this Rams team isn't all that scary to me, if I'm being sincere. My issue is you're going West Coast. You got all season to get ready for the first game of the season. You're going to sit there where they unfurl a banner and hand out rings and everyone's all super excited about everything, right? It's not the game that scares me. It's everything around the game. And let's say things don't go well opening night. Well, that's a nationally televised game where Bills fans, at least until Sunday, are going to have to hear about how overrated that team is.
Devil's advocate, doesn't in a situation like that, isn't the home team, and in this case, the Rams with all the rest of the stuff going on, adversely affected by all of that?
I think they're less adversely affected than the Bills are because the Bills aren't any part of it. They're just standing around.
If you're Von Miller, do you wear your Bills jersey to go get your ring?
Ooh, that's a good question. Well,
I would assume so.
Didn't Freddie Freeman, he refused to let the Braves bring his ring out to him? He said he was going to collect it when they went to Atlanta in June, right? I guess, no.
Well, this sort of fits what we were talking to Bills last week in regards to the golf tournament, and Josh Allen being now Mr. Celebrity, playing in the golf tournament. Is all this additional pressure that's coming down on the Bills, the attention? Do you think they're capable of handling
the price of fame? We talked about this before, where teams basically say, "I want to be in this spot. I've been in this spot. I've been to an AFC Championship game. I've been to a whatever championship game." This is what you get with the price of fame, with the pressure. This is what you wanted for 20 years to be in a position where you're the favorite, one of the top 3 teams to win the Super Bowl. So let's see if we can handle it now.
And I don't think it's that big a deal. I mean, look, as of now, as we speak, the Bills have been successful, very successful for 2 years. AFC Championship the season that they had last year. Name me a diva on this roster. Stephon Diggs, who was supposed to be the problem child, has been unbelievably amazing as a teammate. Josh Allen is a golden retriever in human form, right? Every guy on this roster just falls into line and they love each other. So even with the attention, it's the diva that kills you. I'm not worried about that.
Yeah, and you shouldn't be, because to Tariq's point, it says this is something that we've been dying for 2 decades. This is the Rochester Press Box. Our Buffalo Bills segment was brought to you by Ralph Honda. Like it or not, it's next. Here's the Press Box trivia question, brought to you by Market View Liquor, where exceptional customer service meets an extensive selection. Jefferson Road at 390.
Favorite place in the world that I've traveled to? How about Greece? Hello again, Mike O'Brien, your Getaway Guy. Check out my podcast. I'll take you there at thegetawayguy.com.
Here's the Press Box trivia answer, brought to you by Market View Liquor, where exceptional customer service meets an extensive selection. Jefferson Road at 390.
Are you facing criminal charges from a DWI and feel that you never imagined it could happen to you? Contact attorneys with years of experience as prosecutors and defenders. Contact Kanguli Brothers Law today for a free consultation. You can put your trust in us.
the plan that they had, I think they executed very well. And now you have to see how these guys go about it. But they're not just, they didn't appear to be, lost like I think some of the teams did, where they just panicked maybe and made a pick. And they did appear to have a plan. They were going for the best player. In likely case, it was a defensive player, which helped them the most. And on paper, right now, it looks good. And then we all know the next step is, can these guys actually play?
Well, you want to talk about the most invaluable pick, I think, of the 3 days, and everybody's disagreeing with me, but the Cardell Jones pick, and I'll tell you why. There's a pretty good chance, and I've on record on the show as saying I think that Tyrod is gone no matter what at the end of next season. You have a guy that doesn't put immediate pressure on Tyrod, so you still get to put your arms around him and go, hey, well, you're our guy. We love you so much. But the physical attributes that guy has, if Greg Roman, who, by the way, has got to be salivating at a 6'5", 260-pound quarterback with a 65-yard standing still arm, if they can bring him along to what they believe he can be for a 4th-round pick, you hit everything you needed to. Tyrod's happy. You got your guy possibly of the future, and, EJ gets to hang around for another year.
That's the one pick that I had a little bit of question about. I just don't like picking, especially at that position, a guy who's got 11 college starts.
Welcome back. Thanks for joining us here on the Rochester Press Box, our Like It or Not segment brought to you by Ganguly Brothers Law, attorneys with years of experience defending the accused. Don't go unprepared. Contact Ganguly Law today. Like it or not, the Brooklyn Nets are done.
Well, yeah, they are done. And if I'm the Brooklyn Nets and I'm the GM, I'm retooling this entire roster all over again, starting with keeping KD, Kevin Durant, and maybe moving off of Kyrie and or Ben Simmons. Now, I'll get to Ben Simmons in a minute with unfinished business, but this team does not look functional. They don't look like they're prepared for any type of situation where the pressure is on, they need a play. There's been this discussion before about Steve Nash, whether or not he'll come back as head coach or not, whether or not he's able to coach these guys in these sort of situations. It also goes back to 2 years ago with this podcast where basically KD and Kyrie Irving said, anybody on our team can be a coach. Well, you just got swept, all right? So apparently your coaching doesn't work. You need another coach that's going to be able to prepare you for moments where crunch time and Jason Tatum is not getting a layup at the buzzer.
I think it might be time to bring back that Duffy, right? Because a very handsome, smart, bearded man said 2 years ago when they hired Steve Nash and made these moves.
About the last time you were here.
Oh, yeah, I think so. I think you're right. There was no way this was going to work, and I felt bad for Steve Nash because, look, it was obvious this team was not going to do anything they said. I felt bad to him bad for him until Game 3 when they're forced to bring Blake Griffin off the bench. He has 9 points in 8 minutes. He gets a jump ball and makes 2 amazing defensive plays. You had the ability to force the Celtics to change what they were doing to kill you. And you did it by accident with 5 minutes left in Game 3. And then you go back to the well again in Game 4, and it works out halfway decent for you.
And I'll get to the Ben Simmons comment, too. The whole hope of Ben Simmons playing in this, and it revealed later on that the players, the GM, the coaches all thought he was going to play in Game 4. And what does he do? Not play in Game 4.
Dressed up like a Skittle, though.
Oh, well.
That it was done, but also how it was done. I mean, I think basketball came out a winner in this series.
Oh, I agree with you 100%. And here's the weirdest part, and I'll end it with this. Every team left in the East is a legitimate contender to win an NBA championship, and these playoffs have been amazing so far.
Like it or not, the fact scoring is up big in the NHL.
I mean, I like it. I don't like it because the Sabres goalie situation isn't great, but no, it's amazing. And I can't figure out why. It doesn't make any sense. There weren't really any rule changes, right? It's not like the players all of a sudden got better. Like, I can't pinpoint a legitimate reason as to why all of a sudden goal scoring exploded. The only thing I can think is the seasons have been so wonky and long and short off seasons and the long off seasons and the time off that guys are just tired, right? Goalies are just like, what am I doing here? Like the most brain complicated job in sports, maybe other than starting pitcher in Major League Baseball, is NHL goalie. That's got to be the only explanation, right?
It's close to it. You always have in your mind what the perfect score for a game, the outcome is. For me, hockey should always have been like a 4-3 game. Football should be 30-24.
Yeah.
Baseball should be 5-4.
I was a little confused because I thought for previous years for NHL, their playoffs started before the NBA, and are they starting afterwards, or am I wrong about that?
They're going to, they are starting, it starts on Monday.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know.
Yeah, wait, the only reason why is because I love I really don't watch regular season hockey. I watch playoff hockey because it gets that intense. The announcers are amazing. And every single possession matters.
We're all agreed that this is a good trend. Like it or not was brought to you by Ganguly Brothers Law. Unfinished business is next.
The Press Box Stat of the Week is being brought to you by McArdle's Restaurant in Fairport. McArdle's is open 7 days a week with dining available indoors and out, takeout and delivery. Come home to McArdle's.
And now to Eichel. He floated one.
Unfinished Business is brought to you by Greg the Roofer. Greg will meet or beat any competitor's price and can finance you with 0 down. Call today or visit gregtheroofer.com. Better roof, better price. Better call Greg today.
Welcome back, and thanks for joining us here in the Rochester Press Box. It is time for Unfinished Business, and we've waited weeks for this. Pat Duffy.
I wish I would have prepared something. Look, my favorite athlete on the planet right now is Josh Allen. We're just talking about the expectations of the Buffalo Bills and what you're looking to see this season from Josh and the rest of the crew. And I've come to this realization, right? Not to be a negative Bills fan, but there's going to be a point over the next 10 years where there's going to be disappointment, right? Maybe it's this year, maybe it's next year, maybe it's 5, 10, 15 years from now. I have decided that no matter what happens with Josh Allen on the field, there is nothing he can do to disappoint me anymore. He is such a good guy. Like, it's one thing to have a star on your team leading you to victory, but it's another thing to have that star be unbelievably lovable and someone you want to sit down and hang out with. How many great NFL teams can say that right now? Can you say that in Green Bay? Can you say that in Tampa Bay? The way things have gone with Patrick Mahomes and his family and that kind of stuff? Can you say it in Kansas City and even a new team in Denver, bringing Russell Wilson in after there was some drama in Seattle? I love the Bills for what they do on the field. I love Josh Allen for what he does on the field. But Josh Allen is my favorite because I just want to hang out with the guy.
All right, so I don't know what's going on with Ben Simmons, and neither do the Nets, neither do the 76ers, so I'm not going to talk about what's going on in his personal world, although the last time he's been on the court, it was not favorable in the playoffs, and I think he might be still suffering from that and perhaps some other issues. So I'll leave that alone. But I do understand that there has been something that's happened in media when it comes to rumor and news. Somehow they've collided together. There was a rumor that Ben Simmons would play in this series first round with the Nets and the Boston Celtics. That rumor continued and made news and became news until he didn't play. So from now on, regardless of the situation personally with Ben Simmons, and I hope he's okay, and I hope that the NBA players don't realize what a problem this will be when a player says they're going to play and then they're not going to play, and then all the other issues that go wrong with that, with the collective bargaining agreement. I will say this. I don't want to hear anything about Ben Simmons until Ben Simmons plays a game. I don't want to hear about him in practice. I don't want to hear about him any other place than when he actually steps on an NBA court and plays. I don't want to hear rumor. I just want to hear news. That's where this story got screwed up. But I do wish Ben Simmons the best of luck in his personal life.
It comes up every once in a while. Rochester had an NBA team from 1948 to 57. Think about that. And in 1951, playing in an 11-team league that featured 9 teams that subsequently relocated, Rochester won the championship at Edgerton Park, an arena that was located by Jefferson High School. In a 7-game final series against the New York Knicks, Tariq, it is perhaps the most significant development in Rochester sports history. It comes up this time as the Toronto Raptors begin advancing towards what might be the first come-from-behind NBA playoff series victory by a team down 3-0. Teams down 3-0 own a pretty convincing 0-142 record. Only 3 times did those losers get to a 7th game, and the first of those 3, the New York Knicks against Rochester in 1951. Featuring 3 Hall of Famers in their starting lineup, the Royals beat New York 3 straight times in that championship series, before losing the next 3 games. That set up Game 7 at Edgerton. Rochester ran off to a 16-point lead, which was huge in those days, that preceded the shot clock. But the Knicks came back and with 2 minutes left, actually led by 2 points. Bob Davies pulled it out for the Royals with a basket and a couple of late free throws. Rochester secured the championship with a 79-75 victory to retroactively avoid becoming the only team to lose a 3-0 playoff lead. You fast forward now. The Royals, 3 times removed of the Sacramento Kings now, and haven't so much as played for a championship since almost blowing an historically insurmountable lead 71 years ago, right here. That is our Unfinished Business, and that is our program, gentlemen. Thank you very much.
I'm worried about Jerry West coming after us now.
I'd worry more about your basketball team. They can't even beat the Rochester Royals in the playoffs.
I know, right? Well, things have never changed.
The die was cast early. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week with the Rochester Press Box.